Now let me move on to the draft on Thursday night. Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. I love the borough of Brooklyn because I love the people. 5 boroughs in New York City. I'm from Queens, born in the Bronx. Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island. It's the boroughs, baby, the boroughs. But my God, I don't think there's anybody that hates the Barclays Center more than me on the planet. I just want to throw this out there just as an aside. I despise the Barclays Center. Not the people in it. They're great. They're fantastic. But these 9 subway lines or whatever, how many subway lines goes towards the Barclays Center. Well, damn it, I ain't getting on public transportation like that. I'm driving. And I got to tell you, the only thing good about driving to the Barclays Center for me is that I know at some point I'm going to be in standstill traffic enough where I can get out and get a slice of pizza and hop back in without missing a beat. That's about it. Ain't nothing else good about driving to Barclays Center. And then when you get there, there's only one elevator to go in and out of. It's ridiculous. I don't know how Katie and Kyrie ever agreed to go there. Having said that, though, the draft took place there last night. When it took place there last night, obviously, Victor Wembanyama was drafted number 1 by the San Antonio Spurs. Worst kept secret on the planet Earth. The kid is 7'5". I stood next to him, ladies and gentlemen. My hairline receded by about 3 feet because I was looking up. You couldn't even see that I had hair standing next to this dude. I had to extend my arms and literally like I was stretching for crying out loud before working out because he was that damn tall. I've never stood next to a person that tall in my damn life. If Yao Ming was taller than that, I didn't notice. Sean Bradley was taller than that, I didn't notice. This is the tallest dude I've ever stood next to. Really. Unbelievable. And when you consider how tall he was and you imagine his ball handling skills, his shooting ability, his talent, the only thing you could say is, boy, is he rail thin. And they are going to get physical with him, and we're going to see what happens. Greg Popovich and those boys in San Antonio are going to have to figure out a way to protect him, get some meat and potato brothers around him. Make sure you put some meat and potatoes on him. If he doesn't want to gain weight, make sure he changes his mind because you ain't going to last long in the NBA being that damn thin unless you Kevin Durant-esque, which some people say he is. I have to see that to believe that. But I like the kid. Great kid, great family. Met his parents last night, his siblings as well. Great family. And it's great that he's going to be here in the NBA. That wasn't the most interesting thing that happened last night to me. That 2nd and 3rd pick matters. Because what I tried to explain to folks is this. If you Michael Jordan making the very, very last pick before you can surrender basketball operations to somebody else, remember, he sold a vast majority of his stake in the Charlotte Hornets franchise. I think they completed the sale just last week. But he was going to make the final call on this particular draft as his last move. And he drafted the right dude. The person to draft was Brandon Miller. It was between him and Scoot Henderson out of G League Ignite. And let me tell you something right now. Scoot Henderson can ball. He's something spectacular. Got to work on his long-range shot, but that brother's got a mid-range game. He's a tremendous athlete. He can finish at the basket. He's a killer. He's no joke. No doubt about it. And I believe arguably the perfect replacement to Damian Lillard, assuming he can make that 3, which I believe he make. Met his sisters, by the way. Anytime, this is a little clue for y'all from evaluating standpoints. When you are a young man and you got sisters that are in your face all the time, you usually end up very well because you can take whatever society throws at you because there's nothing compared to what their sisters throw at you because your sisters will just beat you alive mentally and emotionally. They will check you in a heartbeat. Every little minute thing that's wrong with you, they will let you know. They will let you know. Okay? I wish I could tell y'all some of the stories that my sisters told me. Hell, I'll do it. You know, my sister Linda, my older sister Linda, I remember years ago, kid wet behind the ears, breath smelling like Similac. You fantasize about what you would and what you wouldn't want to do if you have a significant other lady and you're involved with a whole, but I'd never do this. And I'll never do that. No, not me. I would never do that. I even thought kissing was nasty. And my sister Linda pulled me to the side when I was 17 years old. And she looked at me, she went like this. Come here. Sit down. And that's exactly how she talks. Very, very mellow. And my sister Linda looked at me and she said, all I'm going to tell you is just to remember one thing. For everything you won't do, there's someone else who will. And he is the one that would be remembered instead of you. And I never forgot it. Never forgot it. Always remembered it. You understand? Always remembered it. For everyone who won't, there's someone who will. But I digress. My point is, when you have sisters, they help you, they buffer you, they uplift you, because they teach you through osmosis to accept and embrace challenges you otherwise wouldn't be willing to accept. So I like Scoot Henderson. I like him a lot. Here's why he wasn't the right pick for Charlotte. Number one, Brandon Miller is that brother. From Alabama, and I know the story about him bringing the gun to the scene that ultimately his teammate grabbed and gave to somebody else who killed somebody, and both of them were arrested on capital murder charges. I know all of that. And Brandon Miller took a lot of heat. I remember he was taking heat, and he went to the University of South Carolina, and you had people chanting at him as if he was running for president and he was Hillary Rodham Clinton. Lock him up. Lock him up. That's what they were saying. That's what they were chanting. You know what this brother did? On national television, on the road at South Carolina, he dropped 41. And was literally telling the crowd, bring it. When you got that kind of intestinal fortitude under that face of adversity, that's what NBA scouts and evaluators look for. That's what people in all professional sports look forward to. They want that because they expect adversity. They expect adversity. That's why it was a storyline when somebody like Naomi Osaka was crying because of ridicule she might have been getting from the fans or questions she might have been getting from the media. Not to sit up there and knock her for it, because I'm not. Because everybody's got their own issues. That's why people looked at Ben Simmons and they said, this is just damn pathetic. You treating playing basketball like somebody's asking you to walk on the front lines in Ukraine. What are you doing? Brandon Miller, people look for adversity. When we call Muhammad Ali the greatest, Muhammad Ali had losses in his career. But when you face that level of adversity, that's the kind of thing that makes you say, yo, this dude is made of a different cloth, because it doesn't matter what you throw in his direction. He's coming. And that's what you're looking at, and that's what you're talking about here. Brandon Miller did that. Brandon Miller did that. Here's the other thing. Scoot Henderson is 6'2". Brandon Miller is 6'9". That matters. This brother is a combo. He can play I don't want to hear nothing about a small forward. He can play the two guard or the small forward spot. He can take you off the dribble. He can be electric in the open court. He can pull up from three. He was a point guard in high school. That's the dude you got to draft. And last but not least, if you had drafted Scoot Henderson instead of Brandon Miller, you would have essentially been telling the world, LaMelo Ball's about to leave. And we know Charlotte don't want LaMelo Ball to leave. You want him to stay. So you got to make sure you put the right talent around him where he could do some things. And with Miles Bridges coming back, after his domestic situation with his ex that left him off the roster last year. The reality is that with Bridges, with Brandon Miller, and with LaMelo Ball, there's a nucleus in place for the Charlotte Hornets to be relatively decent, if not better. Time will tell, we shall see. But you can't underestimate that. They made the right pick. As it pertains to Scoot Henderson, here's what it meant to me. I think Damian Lillard's days in Portland are numbered. Not because of Portland. They ain't going to let him go. They don't want to let him go. I'm talking about Dillard walking into their office and saying it's time to move on. He doesn't want to. He loves Portland. Loves it to death. City loves him. They deify him for crying out loud. And he loves them back. But damn it, Damian Lillard is too great to be in Portland, languishing in mediocrity. It's just the truth. At some point in time, your greatness demands that you do everything you can to get on center stage. As my man Kendrick Perkins pointed out earlier today on national television, KG, during his Hall of Fame speech, after all of those years in Minnesota, when he finally got to Boston, as much as he loved Minnesota, he said the only regret in his career was that he waited so long to get to Boston. That's how Damian Lillard's got to be. Now, if it's Miami, it's Miami. If it's Philly, it's Philly. I'd personally prefer to see him in Philly, although I can't imagine Philly letting him go and not getting Tyrese Maxey in return. And if I'm the Philadelphia 76ers, I'm not letting go of Tyrese Maxey because guess what? Tyrese Maxey ain't 32 years old. That's Damian Lillard. I'm keeping that brother. But to have Damian Lillard with somebody like a Tyrese Maxey and a Joel Embiid as your teammate, my God, they could possibly win it. Suddenly, we got to have a discussion as to whether or not Boston would be the favorites over Philly. Because there is no answer for Joel Embiid if he's healthy. And Damian Lillard to close. Because as much as we respect Harden, and we know Harden could play, and he led the league in assists this year, the fact of the matter is Harden ain't that dude anymore. He's an all-star caliber player, but he ain't the dude that he used to be. That's why Houston doesn't want him. That's why Philadelphia's ownership doesn't want to give him the max, although his man Daryl Morey wants to. It would be nice. But with Scoot Henderson being a 6'2 guard, needing the ball in his hands, drafted by the Portland Trailblazers, 3rd overall, him with Damian Lillard doesn't work. We've seen Damian Lillard with a sharpshooter and a great guard in C.J. McCollum, who, by the way, is bigger than the both of them. How did that work out? Yes, you went to a conference finals once. Yes, you went to the playoffs numerous times, but you really didn't make any noise. So you're not going to with Scoot Henderson regardless of how great he is. It's time for Portland to retool. Use Damian Lillard to get additional assets and for Damian Lillard to be on center stage where he belongs. You got the money. You got the endorsement deals. Only Shaq and Snoop Dogg got more endorsement deals than you. All you need to do now is put yourself in a position of title contention because we ain't seen that in his career. I wanted to transition before I go to break.